Okay, let's get started. So, I've washed my hair fairly recently. If your hair is kind of greasy like mine, then you want to do this like the day after or as soon as possible after you wash your hair. If your hair is kind of dry, then you might want to like, you know, if your shampoo and conditioning routine puts moisture in your hair, back comb when you've not washed it. If your hair is a grease trap like mine, back comb when you've just washed it. I've also, as you can see, put on my clothes and put on my makeup and my jewellery. Now this is partly a thing of personal choice. I like to make sure that my stuff is not going to get caught in my hair, which means I'm going to take these off in a second. Plus, getting a top over your head when your hair is out here, a little bit harder. So that's why I do this, and I put my makeup on first just because I like seeing how it's framed. I'm going to be looking past you a bit because I've got the mirror behind you, but hey. Right, so to get started, first of all, get those off. We're going to start off with one of the optionals, which is Weirdo Hair Powder by Got to Be by Schwarzkopf. I'm fairly sure Schwarzkopf just means blackhead. That amuses me. This is Powderful Volumizing Styling Powder. You don't have to use this, but this, for me, is great because it's a good start off, and it's a great, everyday thing, because you can just sprinkle it on your head and instantly get a bit more volume going on. The directions tell you to put it on your hand and then put it in your hair, but that's I don't know, subtle people who actually do proper things with their hair. Not me. I do that. And now I've got powder everywhere and it's probably in my coffee, and never mind. So you smoosh that into the roots of your hair and you instantly have a bit more volume. Which is really great if you're just doing an everyday look, I can probably just go outside like that. If not, because we're going for crazy unsubtle today, powder of Christ compels you. Don't do that. Then we start on the actual back combing. Now, if you're back combing, you have a range of different styles of brush you can use. You can use a comb, you can use a twizzly twirly thing like that. You can use one of those fluffy back combing brushes, which I have somewhere but I misplaced because I don't often use it, because I prefer this combination. The only type of brush you don't want to use is something like this, because that's not going to get close enough to your scalp and the bristles are slightly too far apart. The way you back comb depends on what style you're going for. If you're going for something a little sleeker, like a sort of pompadour thing or a beehive, what you want to do is take the hair and back comb on the opposite side to where you want it to go, because that way when you slick it back you still have nice smooth bits. But I'm not going for that today. I'm going for big old punk rock mohawk nonsense. Now, as you can see, my hair isn't that long at the moment, and I've not got much of it because I've got this stupid, I don't know, wonky mohawk thing going on. But this works fine for any hair length that's kind of mid-length. Longer, if it gets longer than sort of shoulder length, it does become a bit more difficult. So if you've got longer hair and you want to back comb a lot, feathering and layering is the way to go. Again, I'm looking past you at the mirror behind the camera because that makes it easier to see what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is starting towards the base and then roots even, and going slowly further out. That means you have a solid kind of base going on. So we're going to backcomb the crap out of this first. So we have the basic shape going on. And then we get out the big guns. Doesn't really matter what hairspray you use as long as it's fairly strong. I like this stuff because it's fairly cheap and fairly strong. You can use knockoff like shop brand ones, or my favourite one ever is Treseme's like extra hold one, because that comes in massive tins and is really strong, but it's quite expensive, and this is less so. This is like mid-range for me, and I'm broke. But this is where the ozone hates Goths. Literally coat your entire head in hairspray. And you're basically going to repeat this process a couple of times. So spray, then leave to dry a bit while you backcomb a bit more. This gets your hair enormous. And once you start getting that sort of base going on, you can start sort of teasing it out to get that more fluffy look, or you can make it really, really sort of rock hard if you're going for that kind of grufty, practically vertical hair thing. It's pretty sweet. So I'll put my glasses on so I can actually see. Normally when I'm doing this wearing contact lenses, but I've run out of contact lenses, so yeah, okay, we've got a bit of something going on here. There we go, that's got a bit of shape. I will actually do this a bit more off camera and then come back and show you when it's actually properly done. The other optional thing that I like adding is hair extensions. Now, these things are really easy to make. I've just bought I bought these a few years ago. Bought a bunch of little, I hope that focuses, crocodile clip things. These things. And a bunch of double-ended mid-length threads. And literally put them in my hair. Bang! So once I've got a bunch of those in, it makes my hair look like there's a lot more of it. The trick with this is to do this under a big clump of backcombing. It gives the illusion that it is part of your hair and that you've got more hair going on than you actually have. When my hair was a bit longer, I used to put them more towards the back or underneath by my ear. But now that I've got the undercut, they pretty much have to go on the edge of the undercut, like so. There we go. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. But yeah, so I got a bunch of these. You can use non-dreadlocky ones if you want. I like the dreadlocks because they make it look like there's a bit more texture going on. And, you know, you can add as much or as little nonsense into the dreadlocks. I mean, what is this? Like Rexalace and ribbon and I don't know. There's even little flowers, and you can see how old these are because they're really ratty, but that's fine. Well, I ran out of memory cards, so here is some more pictures of me with big hair to finish us off. What I've talked about so far is pretty much all you need to do. It's just a case of repeating those processes, backcombing, hairspraying, and then you end up with great big hair like this. These are various pictures from over the years. The last thing I need to tell you about is how to get that stuff out of your hair. It's really simple. It just takes a little bit of time and can be a little bit uncomfortable. Get yourself into the shower with a load of conditioner and a comb, and slowly working from the tip back towards the root, so the opposite way to what we were doing before. Slowly comb out your hair. It can be a little bit uncomfortable. You can end up with broken hair, so don't do this too frequently.
and you will probably want to empty out your drain. Apart from that, that's it. Go make big hair.